This is FYI, a public affairs program of Strong Tower Christian Media on 93.7 The Light and Hope 100.7.
And I'm JT Burcham, and welcome to FYI. I get the chance every week to talk with interesting people about fascinating projects around Ohio. Today, I'm talking with marriage professionals, Ed and Amy Uzinski. Welcome, Ed and Amy. You guys are representing family life and Weekend to Remember. How are you guys?
Hey, JT, good. Yeah, thanks for having us on, and thanks for calling us professionals. We only refer to ourselves that way with our kids. We remind them regularly that we are marriage and relationship professionals, and they should listen to us.
That's right. Yeah,
It works
just
about
in
half
case
the time.
What's that?
It works about half the time.
Yeah, if that.
It's a good title to throw around in case you need it. But
It is.
Very cool. Now, that means you have probably spoken at a few Weekend to Remember events. For those who know nothing at all about Weekend to Remember, what is a Weekend to Remember?
Yeah, it is a marriage getaway where you have an opportunity from Friday to Sunday to spend time in a hotel in a nice place and have conversations about your marriage around issues that you most need to talk about, but probably are just not taking time to do. That's really the best way to explain it. And there are speakers that will set you up to do that and just put things out on the table. And there are little opportunities that you have then to answer questions with each other and just spend time together.
Yeah. I'm guessing you have spoken at a few of these, yes?
Yeah, we've had the opportunity the last 20 years to go around the country and speak to all different people and all different settings for several years now.
Yeah, there's like 65 different couples that are part of the Weekend to Remember speaker team, and only a handful of them work full time with family life. Most of them are just in other ministries, and maybe they have their own marriage ministry, or some are pastors, some are business people, but they all have a heart for ministry and are able to a heart for marriage and are able to minister to people in those weekends.
Yeah. Who is the perfect couple to come to an event? Do they need to be newly married? Do they need to be on the rocks, so to speak? I mean, do they have to be a troubled marriage? Is it for everybody and anybody?
Yeah, that's a great question because we literally see that entire gamut.
Spectrum, yeah.
We just heard a story this last weekend that a couple had been married for 2 hours and he was deploying on that Monday and they showed up to the Weekend to Remember. So it's an incredible way to start your marriage. We also have couples that literally come with divorce papers in their car, that this is their last ditch effort and they don't know where to go from here.
Yeah, or the other end of the spectrum is people have been married for 50 years and folks are doing great. So it really is all the way across the continuum. And when we do the introduction, the introductory talk, a lot of times we will ask where people are at on the map as far as how long they've been married, where they came from. And JT, it is literally all across the board. And so really the ideal couple to come is a couple that's ready to try to talk to each other. I mean, and that's it. Whether it's been two hours or it's been 50 years, whether you've had really hard time with each other or it's been relatively smooth sailing, the reason why we would come is because to be healthily married means we have to keep trying to engage each other over the same topics over and over again, right? It doesn't take marriage professionals and experts to know that. If you've been married any length of time, the challenge is to be able to talk with each other. And so the conference sets you up to do that. It really does. It gives you some skills, gives you some reminders about how to have good conversations with each other, gives you permission to talk about things just because of the way the speakers usually present stuff. It's not a lecture. It's not a sermon. And a lot of times I think people coming in there afraid that's what it's going to be, but it's really pretty fun and often funny. the way the presenters present the material, and people have a good time.
Yeah. And I heard you say earlier, it sounds like you set couples up with opportunities to talk about issues and situations that they maybe don't get a chance to or don't take the time to talk about. Is that correct?
Yeah, we will stop in the middle of our presentation at what we call halt the drift. We are always drifting towards isolation, or we're drifting towards oneness. So we want to halt that drift towards isolation. We'll stop. We'll give couples a few minutes to engage with what they just heard. And really, then that sets them up for, at the end of that talk, to go and spend more significant time talking about it. We also have several different projects over the weekend that take maybe around an hour, 45 minutes to an hour.
Yeah, they're called couples check-ins.
Yeah.
In fact, we even stopped calling them projects because that makes it sound like almost like you have to do a bunch of work with each other, and they really aren't. They're questions, and it's setting you up to check in with each other to talk about, again, nothing new, but the same old stuff, hopefully in fresh ways.
Yep. Hey, if you've just tuned in, we're talking with Ed and Amy Uzinski from Family Life. And the weekend to remember, if you're listening here in the Miami Valley, I got some dates for you. Cincinnati is February 17th through the 19th. Indianapolis, March 31st. And Columbus, June 9th. So 3 different opportunities right here in the Miami Valley, just a short drive away to refresh, refocus, revisit your marriage.
Yeah, and we always highly encourage couples to grab one of those and to really go away for the weekend. So sometimes when it's in your hometown, you're going to be tempted to just stay in your house and run over to the conference, grab a few of the sessions, and then get to the game or go home and do the project. And we would really encourage you, if you can, if money allows, to stay at the hotel and really say that this is an investment in us and our family, that it's not just something that we're going to, go to for the weekend and then put on the shelf. But we're hoping that a weekend like this ultimately changes the trajectory of your home and your legacy that you have.
That's good.
Yeah, good point. Okay, now, realistically, there are folks listening who are not going to be able to make it to any of these. So I'm asking you to crack open your lesson book and share some tidbits with folks that they might hear. What could someone do for homework if they'll never be able to make it to one of these events?
Oh gosh.
Oh yeah, I'm putting you on the spot.
We've never been asked that question
Yeah, that's a good
before.
question. That's a good question.
What's your favorite thing that you always push people towards there or whatever?
Yeah, one of the things that I really appreciate on Friday night is being reminded about what good communication consists of. And so half the talk winds up being about how to express ourselves clearly, and the other half is about how to listen well, and just to be reminded of principles like paying attention to one another, and putting away distractions. Reflecting back what you're hearing to make sure that you're accurately tracking with your spouse or the person you're trying to listen to. Not getting defensive, but doing the inner work to make sure that you actually are really trying to feel what they're feeling instead of just responding to what you're feeling on the listening side of things. And then flipping it around and on the expressing side to actually think before you're going to speak, which again, it's not like that's that radical of an idea. It's just, it's underused, to make sure you're in the right space at the right time. You've been married for a while, and there's sometimes are better than others to try to talk about things. And so be wise about how you do that. And in the same way, reflect, ask to be reflected back to. I'm going to stop talking now. Why don't you go ahead and say back to me what you think I'm trying to say? And it's not rocket science, but it's radical in the difference it'll make in the way you communicate. So that's one of my favorites. What's one of yours?
Yeah. So like I said earlier, though, the whole arc of the conference is, are we actually moving towards oneness? So oneness in our communication. And then I would say one of the top things that I took away early on was in the conflict talk that we have on Saturday afternoon is my spouse isn't my enemy. And oftentimes when we get into conflict, I just start to think you're the enemy, you're the problem. And when I start to say, okay, he's not my enemy, he's actually on my team. I want to win with him. I don't want to just be the sole winner in this marriage. We want to win together. And so when I stopped thinking about Ed as my enemy and just, we've got a roadblock, we've got something that we need to actually hurdle together, that has radically changed, I think, our conflicts at times.
One of the changes that was made a few years ago, and I'm so glad that this happened, was the idea of starting to think about what it means to be a marriage on mission. Again, whether you've been married for 2 hours or 50 years, whether you're in a really good place or maybe you're struggling through some things right now, God has brought us together for a reason that goes beyond just us. And so what if one of the keys to us growing together was actually to start noticing the people around us and to start asking how might we be able to facilitate a small group in our own home? Or are there younger couples that we could start to notice and have over for dinner or have some kind of an engagement with, where our marriage starts to become a blessing to somebody else? Because when you do that, it takes your eyes off of this all the time, just focusing on us and what we want or what's wrong. And we start paying attention to other people together. It's almost like we've got our arms locked together on mission together. And that has really, really resonated with people across the weekend. Again, in the midst of also talking about just how to pursue oneness more with each other. What does it look like to start seeing other people? It's been good.
Yeah, neat. Good challenge. Thank you. Yeah. Hey, we are talking with Ed and Amy, presenters for Family Life at the Weekend to Remember. 3 opportunities coming up, one in Cincinnati in February, in Indianapolis in March, and Columbus in June. You can get more details at familylife.com. Look for Weekend to Remember. Any other tidbits or nuggets that we should pass on? You'd challenge them to go, I'm guessing, yes?
Well, we just said that too, and maybe repeat the dates again. There's a window of time where you can go for 50% off, which that window is not open across the whole season. So I know. Do we have the dates there on how?
I think I understand that to be now through January 22nd.
Okay.
A couple goes for the price of one.
Yes.
So,
yeah, here's another thing that we encourage people to do if they're in position to do it, and that is get with some friends and go. Maybe it's your church small group, maybe it's some friends at work, or the basketball parents that you sit with now, or soccer parents that you sit with, and say, hey, we're thinking about going to this marriage getaway. And because what ends up happening is you go, and obviously you're going to talk between each other, but after the conference is over, the conversation keeps going with other people. You really need other people to stay on the path with each other. So we always encourage that. And people that come with other people, you can tell, have a blast with each other. Yeah. You're not going to be in small groups or anything like that across the weekend. You're going to sit and listen to some 35-minute sessions, and then you're going to talk to each other and eat and swim in the pool and sleep. So pick some people you'd like to do that with,
and make a weekend to remember.
Make a weekend to remember.
Love
it's good,
it.
JT.
Yes.
Ed and Amy, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Nice meeting you guys, and thank you for sharing and challenging us to refocus and refocus our marriage. So, thank you. Thank you for being an example marriage here today. We appreciate it.
Thank you, JT.
Here we are. Our arms are locked. We're together.
Thank you so much. Again, familylife.com, Weekend to Remember. Thank you, Ed and Amy. Take care of yourself. Thanks for talking with us.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
This is FYI, a public affairs program of Strong Tower Christian Media on 93.7 The Light and Hope 100.7.